Sono got the sauce, boy.
Yeah.
You're so lazy.
You AJB?
Sounds good.
Johnny on the track. You already know who it is, TMG. Been out here doing this here many moons now. Go there. I had to get it on my own since I was 13. Had a few red streams. Had to dig deep, had to find a warrior within me, yeah, yeah. The bottom where I come from, so I know what the struggle like. Obstacles I've overcome, living a troubled life, yeah. Everything we go through, we supposed to, it's just a part of life, yeah. Everyone who meets you, you're supposed to, wrong or right, yeah. Every day's another day to build a better you and a better life, yeah. We all slip and fall, we all stumble backwards in search for the light, yeah. I've been through some very bad days, had more than a few bad nights. Had to hold on even when I wanna let it all go, just to see if I could fly. I felt so lost, couldn't find my way. I felt I was stuck in a maze. On my own creation, lack of the patience with a mirror in my face, yeah. I had to get it on my own since I was 13. Had a few red streams. Had to dig deep, had to find a warrior within me, yeah, yeah. The bottom where I come from, so I know what the struggle like. Obstacles I've overcome, living a troubled life, yeah. No blame in the game, players gon' play, and them haters gon' hate, yeah. You could try to relate, maybe you can, or maybe you can't, yeah. You can get it, he can get it, she can get it, but who really wanted more? Here's the thing, I'ma try to run it down up, truly get my people out the mud, I put it on my name. Smudge in the wind, prayers go up, tobacco down. Missing again, photos go up, but we never hear sound. I came a long way, too far to turn back now, can't sit and do nothing. Voice of the 7th generation, time to stand up and really say something, yeah. I had to get it on my own since I was 13, had a few red streams. Had to dig deep, had to find a warrior within me, yeah, yeah. The bottom where I come from, so I know what the struggle like. Obstacles I've overcome, living a troubled life, yeah.
TMG. You asked if I thought about it. Yeah, I thought about it. Yeah, I think about it. Don't do it, might do it, I don't know. You asked if I thought about it. Yeah, I think about it. Most days and nights. Yeah. Should I do it, won't do it, I don't know. The pressing is real, don't know how I feel. I'm gripping the skill, hoping for real that somebody will just deep in the hole, it's hard to get out. Mentally, physically burning me out. Misery loving my company, yeah. Negative energy pulling me down. I'm screaming at God, I'm cursing our law. I'm pissed at the world now. I'm going through something that you could not possibly understand. Or maybe you do, or maybe you did, or maybe you can, or maybe you went through, or maybe you been there, or maybe you done that. Or maybe you know, or maybe you feel me, or maybe you call right back. Maybe you're deaf, or maybe you're blind, or maybe it's out of sight, out of mind. Maybe it's out of reach, out of time. Coulda, shoulda lived a better life. Battling war with the dark side. Watch out when the sparks fly.
I never saw a wild thing. Sorry for it. A small bird was dropped frozen dead from a bough without ever having felt sorry for itself.
Oh, that was a way to bring on our guest that we have. I don't know, we brought in that before this. We heard the sound of a new hit that he has. And boy, howdy, you were going to see and recognize our guest. But if you don't know, we gave a bio before, so you should have been paying attention. But we're going to let him come in. He's one of the great actors that we seen. They were on Reservation Dogs called, yeah, that's what it was called. It was on Hulu is what I wanted to say. But he was on one of the great episodes and he had a cool part. We're going to get into this, but we want to welcome into our show today, Mr. Sten Joddi. Thank you for that sound of depression. That was that song we heard. Is that correct?
Yeah, Mado, Hinchke, Stongo, StenJoddi, Jeff Gross, Mvskoke Nation, Oklahoma, our Beacon Stomp Grounds, Coxsoggy Clan. I want to say I'm honored to be here. StenJoddi is what they call me. I appreciate you having me on your platform, on your show. And, yeah, getting into it, man. We can get into whatever you want to talk about today, man. So
well, I'm appreciated. I'm glad you took time out of your busy schedule. And boy, howdy, like I said, we heard that great sound of depression. And then you had another song called Res Dreams. And then you had another song that we know was on that show where we got to see you on the big screen called you were called Punkin' Lusty in that one, called Greasy Fry Bread. Boy, howdy. I can tell you the only thing I can think about when I hear that song is that guy who was introducing to you. He's a Kiowa tribe member, of which I am. I'm a Kiowa member. He's my relative. And I just like, hey, I know that guy. He likes to go powwow. I'm going to go razz him now. Hey, got it. But those are some great things that we're seeing. And boy, howdy, one of the things we want to do, Stan, while we're visiting with you and thanking that you're joining us on Live with the Native Guy, is we want to talk about who you are, how your career came about, what got you into this, and little fascinating things that rapping is not really what you do. It's just probably maybe a hobby, just to think about that. But let's get people to know who you are first. You gave us an introduction. Was that in your native language?
Yeah, that was in Mvskoke Nation language. Yeah, I was born and raised in Oklahoma on the Mvskoke Creek Reservation. As we know now, the boundaries have been recognized by the Supreme Court. So we have bigger boundary lines now than we did before. And so, I grew up as an urban city native in my own self. And I, grew up around hip hop, grew up around a diverse culture of people, Black kids, white kids, Mexican kids, Native kids, we all grew up around the same thing. And hip hop was very influential to my life, and so that's where that came in. And yeah, man, now that we know that the Supreme Court kind of recognizes those boundaries, I grew up on the res my whole life, not knowing it, as far as recognition of where I live. But yeah, definitely, man, it feels good to be a part of something that I didn't really have as a kid, and a lot of indigenous people can relate to that. We didn't have that representation that, now that I get to see it on TV, my kids get to see themselves on TV, and I just got to be a part of it, man. And it's really cool, So yeah, my life kind of got me to that point, just pushing and never giving up, really. That's kind of part of the song of Res Dreams. It's kind of, a story of my life, man. I started, on my own, so to speak. Mom's was having 2 jobs, dad kind of dipped out, and I had a bunch of res dreams, man, of trying to be this big time rapper. And, that's what I kind of wanted to be in my mind. And, rap just happened to be more relatable to me than anything else as a genre of music at the time. Country and rock and roll, I love all music, but they just weren't telling the story of a city indigenous kid coming up in the 90s, man. It just wasn't telling my story. And the closest thing that I could see is, hip hop, rap music, and the stories and the things that they shared and the experiences they went through. I was kind of seeing through my eyes in the place I grew up, around the people I grew up. Of course, we had the drug issues, the alcohol issues, but we also grew up around gang issues and guns and violence and also, you know, just the whole 90s vibe, man, was a little bit different than it is today. And so, you know, what we take for granted now, we have shows on TV like Res Dogs and things like that. Like my daughter has Molly from Denali, you know, and it's
No
just
idea.
awesome.
Fortnite,
yeah, you know,
Fortnite, right?
hey, yeah.
That's all
Most
my kids
definitely
only know
Fortnite.
Fortnite and Roblox.
Roblox, man. Yeah, you got to have Roblox or they'll attack you, man. You know,
Yeah.
so
But
yeah,
no, hearing that, Sten, it's cool because I'm a 90s guy too. And I can relate with everything you're saying because we didn't have a whole lot in the 90s. The only thing that I can remember that I thought was really cool was basketball. NBA basketball was the only thing. I grew up at Haskell in Lawrence, Kansas, where Haskell is. And, you know, there's a lot of Native Americans who go there. So there's a pretty cool that, but there wasn't nothing to push us in like you're doing. And there weren't very many actors, maybe sans Elaine Miles at the time and maybe Wes Studi.
Right. I mean, and we all love, you know, all the actors and actresses that paved the way in all the movies, even though some of those movies are, you know, a bit cringeworthy, you know, when we watch them now, because we know what's right and what's wrong now, you know, and we're not afraid to say those things or take or demand our respect and stuff like that with roles. But definitely, man, like shout out to Wes Studi and Graham Greene and like, you know, all those natives out there that paved the way in Hollywood so we could even get shows like this to run, you know, and to tell our story from our perspectives, you know, and that's what I'm just really honored and like, I'm really like, you know, just happy to be just a little piece of this, you know, a part of it, man. You know, I'm blessed.
And you don't know how much that is pretty a big role model thing that you do, Sten, because being able to see your rap, my kids, because of what I do and preparing all these, they get to hear all these different Native American rappers and actors and different ones. And they get to learn and say, hey, you got to talk to that guy. It's like, yeah. And just being able to have that today, it's a benefit because we're going back. Like I say, we were talking about the 90s. You brought up Graham Greene. That was another one. There's that one lady, she played on, what was that show? Smoke Signals, but she was the voice of Pocahontas, I think. Her, and then, like I say, they're the actors today, they're growing. So let's talk about how you got to this. What were some of the ones who inspired you to become into what you do today? Well, besides acting, there's the rap that you do and the artwork that you do, and we'll talk a little bit about that here in a little bit. But what was the first thing that helped you get motivated to get you into where you are today?
You know, it's crazy because it probably, you know, I got into the point, I'll be 40 this year in December. I'm 39 right now, and so I got into this groove about 2.5 years ago, right before the pandemic. I started to get into my healthy lifestyle and I started to change my life in the way that because, you know, sorry about that. I became a lot focused on my health and I was trying to just get healthy. And I was getting to the point where my music was respected and everything, and that's understandable, and like everything was kind of working out, but I was getting a lot of tattoos and I was just really focusing on my tattoos and all that. And I just kind of gave up on trying to be everywhere all at once, and I really just wanted to focus on my health and my family. And I kind of put a lot of things on the back burner because I needed to focus on family and work and stuff. So at that point, I really wasn't looking for anything. And then the pandemic hit. So what was really cool about that in my particular perspective is because it seemed really funny because I was almost preparing for something. I didn't know that that's what was going to happen. And I didn't know it. I didn't know that that's what, you know, and it happened. And I was financially okay because I was saving my money for the past 2 years. And I was getting everything corrected, going the right way with my family and my relationship with my wife and my kids. And this just kind of boosted that up. Like it put us all in the same house all at the same time. So we didn't have anything else to do but to mess around. And so my daughter suggested we get on TikTok. And, you know, I was like, yeah, I don't know what this is. It looks like a few years ago before that, I had got an account on there, and I didn't really know why I got one. I think I was watching Be Real from Cypress Hill doing some interviews or something, and that's what he used. So I downloaded the app like 5-6 years ago, and I never used it. And so when I re-downloaded it, it said, you already have an account. And so my daughter's like, what? So we get on there and I just start messing around, you know, and what I didn't see on there at the time was what I try to do with my platforms on Facebook and Instagram that really didn't reach as many people as I thought, was like, you know, all these archive videos of Native activists and people that I respect a lot, like Russell Means and Dennis Banks and, you know, Buffy St. Marie and all these people that like to speak up, and they had platforms in the 70s and the 80s and into the 90s. And I didn't really see a lot of that on Facebook, or it really didn't get like shared as much as I would have liked. And so when I started uploading those things to TikTok, they really took off, and I started to get a following on there, not only with good educational content for Indigenous people, but my music and my funny videos that I like to do with my daughter and my kids started to get plays. And so I don't know if that had to do with a little bit of the casting company finding me on the internet. Me and Mike Bone were already homeboys. Those two dudes are cool. We've already did shows. We were at different festivals together, and we've got a couple, I think a song together. We're working on another one, but I'm sure maybe those guys dropped a few, you know, words in a couple of birds' ears, you know what I mean, at the show, and I ended up getting an email. And at first, so again, you got to understand, I'm in this mode where I'm just really not worried about stuff. And I'm just like family and work and family and work. And so I'm going through my emails and I see this and I think it's like spam or something, you know, like audition for something. And I'm like, whatever, this is not real. And as I swipe it, I look at the first little headline of the email and it said reservation dogs. And I was like, whoa, hold on, that might be real. So I click it, I find it in the trash, and I click it, and it's legit. Like I hit them back, and I'm like, are you sure you emailed the right person? Is this real? That was literally the email I sent them. The first one back was, are you sure? Or is this even real? Is this legit? And they're like, oh yeah, this is definitely real. This is Reservation Dogs from FX, and we really would love for you to audition for this part. And I'm like, whoa. Like, my second email to them was, but I'm not an actor. Are you sure that you didn't email me for like music you want to put on the show? Mm-hmm. Or no, we want you to read for this part. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. So I asked my wife, I said, what do you think I should do? You know, should I do this or what? Like, and she's like, well, what's the part? So we read over the lines, and it is the line where you see in the show now, but it's the line where I'm eating my bowl of cereal, I'm getting
Mhm.
the phone call. And it was that exchange of words that I had to audition for. And
Oh, cool.
I was like, okay. My baby mom doesn't like me right now, and I'm supposed to be somewhere. So the way I went about it though is when I read the lines, it started to really hit home for me because coming up as an indigenous kid in Oklahoma and your dad kind of takes off, that happens.
Yeah.
You know, and I want not only indigenous kids and youth and even adult males that are fathers out there to hear this, but like everywhere across Indian country, we go through these similar problems, man. And so when I read this script, I felt like Bear, right? That was the easiest way for me to understand who I needed to play. Although, you know, me and my father went through our problems, right now we're cool and everything's copacetic. I love my father 100%. And, you know, but at the time, you know, I had to put myself in that situation and become who my father was at that time to me. And it was that guy that always had an excuse why he couldn't be there. You know, oh, I had to work. Oh, the car broke down, or I have a flat, or, you know, or just not answer the phone or whatever, you know. And so I definitely reached in there and you know, portrayed a person that I knew personally. And so it really wasn't acting as much as, you know, me remembering, you know what I mean? I guess.
And that's powerful because again, you take that part and you're able to just be able to take what you're remembering, and it probably brought up some pretty harsh memories doing that as well, I imagine, because I can hear it. Just it's a powerful story just by hearing what you're saying and the emotions it brought up. And speaking of that, then since you had to do that part, you know, we're going to play this soundbite for you here.
Yeah, man.
Hey, la. Baby girl, look at that leg. Yeah. Why she acting all resin? Hotter than a pan of fried bread grease. Have a native HipHop beats. Got your auntie in the kitchen like, nah, he didn't. And got a grandma skillet like she bout to kill it. And your teeth be creeping on your booty cheeks. You be snagging and you bragging like, who the freaks? Soaky in the burner. Hope the head turner.
So what was the idea? Who came up with that song and everything?
So,
because that's how we got to learn and meet you on
that
episode of Res Dogs.
So, you know, at the end of the day, Punk and Lusty is a character.
Mm-hmm.
Punk and Lusty is not a real person, although he may portray a lot of people that we may know in real life. Is he as musically inclined as the real Sten Joddi? No, he wasn't supposed to be. Right? Was he lyrically inclined as the real Sten Joddi? No, he's not as lyrically inclined as the real Sten Joddi either. So I want everybody to know that this is a spoof on who we are as a people, you know. You know, I want people to understand that that song is like, you know, at the same time celebrating the life of who we are and our food, but, you know, also celebrating hip hop and what it is to our culture and what it is in indigenous people and indigenous youth, that we are definitely part of that. And you know, we have Black indigenous people that are very much a part of the hip hop culture as well. And like, we're right there with it. And Oklahoma is dripped in that. And when that happened, the idea behind it all was the writers, of course. They wanted Punk and Lusty to be this rapper, and they wanted, you know, they wanted the res behind him, and everybody loved him and whatnot. So going back to that, it was like they sent me the idea. They already had the title of the song. You know, they wanted it to be called that, but there really was no song, right? It was just like the idea of the song. And so the writers sent me some simple rhyming lines. You know, they're not rappers, so they didn't write it in the way I would write rap music, but I understood what they were trying to say. And so I took some of those ideas and those funny bars, you know, like Hoopty Hoopty Head Turner. I know one of the writers definitely wanted that in there. And Acting So Resi, I think that was another one that the writers wanted in there. But I had to structure it in the way I would write music. And I still wanted it to be fairly like, so he was supposed to be gone out of Bear's life for about 7 years or 2 or 3 years or something. I can't remember. So we wanted it to sound a little older, like a 2005 or a 2006 song. And so we started to think, like, in my perspective, I knew that Oklahoma was real strong with Houston styled music around that time, with like Paul Wall and like you know, Chameleonaire and stuff like that. So I thought to myself, let me try to create a song that has that vibe and that feel to it of that time. And definitely came up with Greasy Greasy Fried Bread, you know, and something that I felt like the people could like chant to, and like if it ended up being a song that people liked, you know, like I would think that people could sing along with it. So I didn't really make it too lyrical. I didn't want to do a lot of big words where people would get misunderstood, or I didn't want to rap real fast, like they had to rewind it to hear what I said. I didn't want none of that. So I took it really structured and something that everybody could sing along to. And that's what you hear. You know, my buddy, he created the beat, and I recorded it. I think I wrote it in like, you know, like a day. and I recorded it the next day, and I sent it back to the production team within 48 hours of them asking me to create a song. And so that's what you hear, man. And that's, you know, now that we got it out there, it's like it's became like the fried bread anthem, man. It's crazy.
It is. I tell you what, every time that, I mean, it's I have a hip hop hour, whatever, they play different hours on my programming, but that's one of the songs. Greasy Fried Bread. Res Dreams is another song that's been added. We'll probably add Depression, because again, some of these, they're all going to be added to the players. They all just different things, because that's where we are today, that we need our outlets, right? We got to be able to play this music that nobody gets to hear. I'm going to share another one with you. This is the one we're talking about, Res Dreams. This is one that it just dropped not too long ago, correct? You didn't make it not too long ago, and the video is great. It's one that you got to watch. I'm going to start bringing it out. Here you go.
You're so lazy.
You AJB? You so stupid.
Johnny on the track. You already know who it is, TMG. Been out here doing this here many moons now. Let's go there. I had to get it on my own since I was 13. Had a few res dreams. Had to dig deep. Had to find a warrior within me. Yeah, yeah. The bottom where I come from, so I know what the struggle like. Obstacles I've overcome, living a troubled life, yeah. Everything we go through, we supposed to, it's just a part of life, yeah. Everyone who meets you, you're supposed to, wrong or right, yeah. Every day's another day to build a better you and a better life, yeah. We all slip and fall, we all stumble backwards in search for the light, yeah. I've been through some very bad days, had more than a few bad nights. Had to hold on even when I wanna let it all go, just to see if I could fly. I felt so lost, couldn't find my way. I felt I was stuck in a maze, on my own creation, lack of the patience with a mirror in my face, yeah. I had to get it on my own since I was 13. Had a few rest dreams, had to dig deep, had to find a warrior within me, yeah, yeah. The bottom where I come from, so I know what the struggle like. Obstacles I've overcome, living the trouble life, yeah. No blame in the game, plays gon' play.
Ooh, I tell you what, that's the beats that we got going on there, boy, howdy. Res Dreams is the name of that song, created by, did you write that song, Mr. Joddi? That is the most powerful beats. The video is up on YouTube. Let's talk about Res Dreams. How long ago did this come out? And you got to go check it out, everybody.
Yeah. So a year before Reservation Dogs even got a hold of me,
wow,
I created this song for the album I was creating and at the time, and I had this song, and it was just me telling my story of coming up as a kid. It was right after we had got the Supreme Court ruling in 2020, and it was right around that time where the pandemic started to happen and stuff. So I was able to, understand that I was a res kid, and that's where I grew up at. And it was just in the city atmosphere, you know what I mean? And so I was like, I came up with this idea of, just explaining myself as a youngster, man, like what I seen and what I wanted to be and everything. And it has everything to do with music and tattoos all at the same time, I found tattoos around that time of my life, around 13, 14, as well as music and writing my own music. And so those two things are like one thing for me. Tattoos and music kind of go together, and they both save my life equally.
And that's a good segue into that, because that's what you really do. I was checking out your website. Let's give everybody your website real quick. Where can they find you?
www.tattoomusic.com. That's tattoos, the way you spell it, tattoo, and MUZIK.com.
And there you'll see some videos. You'll see a lot of the videos that you have out, the music that you got. But let's talk about this. You're a tattoo artist.
Yeah,
because
man,
we can see them. You've got some covered that are out right there. But what were some of the things that got you into the tattoo art? Because boy, howdy, that's some skill work, I tell you what.
Yeah, man. So like I said, about 13, 14 years old, I found tattoos to be something interesting. I've always been an artist. And, as soon as I picked up a Crayola, I was drawing. And so that was always a part of my life. And I never really understood it was never really told to me that this could be a career. It was always told to me, you need to stop doing that by grown-ups. You need to quit drawing on yourself, and you need to quit doing this. And it was always a judgmental thing. My mom was probably the only one that didn't judge me for that. And so not that she knew how to cater to what I needed to do with it. She just never shunned it away, right? So I went through my whole life trying to conform to what society told me to do. You need a job, you need to go to school, you need to get a good job with benefits, and you need to make sure that you have a career. So listening to everyone else, I did end up dropping out of school and made a bad decision there. But I ended up going to Job Corps, and I got my GED, and I started to learn how to cook, which I already knew how to cook. Coming up as a res kid, you
got to learn how to cook.
Sister, you got to know how to cook anyway. So I already knew how to cook. I was like, oh, this is going to be easy. Let me do this. And so, I went into that. because I was listening to people that was telling me this is what you should do. And so, you know, again, it's not a bad profession or a career. You look, if you're a culinary artist and you're a chef, go for it. Chef Ramsay style, man, you know, do the thing, man. But like for me, it was just something that I did because I didn't know what to do, you know, and but tattoos were still there. I was still tattooing during my time at Job Corps. After I got out of Job Corps, I was tattooing and making and writing music all at the same time. But that was never something that was tangible for people around me and my peers and my elders to tell me like, oh, that is a career choice. You should really focus on just that. And so that was never told to me. So later in my years, you know, I end up getting in trouble again, and I end up doing some county time over just being a stupid young kid and making bad choices.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, it is what it is. And so again, it took me a long time to realize that tattoos were a career choice. And I finally got away from all the bad things in my life, and I found my wife in the North Iowa of all places. I was kind of a nomad, man, and I kind of roamed everywhere for a while. And after I got out of jail, to try to find myself, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, you know, and I knew I had this culinary arts degree in my back pocket, so I could always get a job cooking somewhere, no matter where I was at. I was okay.
I want to try some cooking that you got, because my culinary arts. My dad went to school for culinary arts, and I'm glad you said that. And he can whip up, and I'm pretty sure the same way, anything if it's put in front of you.
Right, I can, man. I can make anything out of nothing.
So let's go and have some fun right now. What's one of the most creative dishes you've created?
Oh man, I mean, I don't think I create too many originals. I think I just come from where my grandma, my mom's, and you know, barbecue like my dad, and you know, a lot of the old school foods that I grew up on, like, you know, of course, fry bread. I know how to whip that up very well. You know, but I like the simple things like goulash and stews and beans and rice and, you know, yeah, man. I mean, man, right now it's green onion. It's wild onion season down in Oklahoma.
I know it. I've seen that. They got a lot of those going on. A lot of green onion sales and that.
Yeah,
I said I might have to head that way.
Yeah, man. I mean, growing up as a young Native kid, when I was around my dad's side of the family, you know, I can remember being in a house full of cousins and aunties and grandma in the kitchen early morning, you know, on a Saturday, whipping up, you know, wild onions and sausage and biscuits and gravy. And, you know, so I just kind of give that to my kids, you know, those old things that we grew up to, and those smells. That's what gets me, is the smell of all those things happening in the kitchen. And it reminds me of when I was a kid. So hopefully I'm able to pass that down to my kids, you know, that smell of bacon in the morning when you're getting up for school, stuff like that, man.
Oh man, that just sounds good. So I right now, as we're listening to Sten Joddi, he's on the Native Broadcast Network. I hate the fact that we're running out of time. I'm looking at all this and some of the things that people don't know. How long have you been making music? How many albums? Let's give that's a really interesting fact that people don't know.
Yeah, man. So again, I've been making music since I was 13. I actually started taking it serious when I hit about 19, 20, and I started recording music however I could. I created a bunch of mixtapes with my homeboy, Big John. It's a white boy from Iowa. Me and him, we put together many albums just as me and him. And then about, I would say 11 years ago or so, 10 years ago, I started creating my own sound and my own vibe. I started getting in touch with my culture back when it was, again, I was a city kid. And so I created Tattoo Music, the first tattoo music album in Florida. I was signed to Red Vinyl Records with Lightfoot at the time. And you know, we parted ways since, and we're still cool. You know, the OG, man, Lightfoot, shout out Lightfoot. And then I created Tattoo Music 2, and then Tattoo Music 3. And then I created Concrete Warrior and 7th Generation, and then a second Concrete Warrior album. And now I'm also the singles album. So I have like 7 or 8 albums out right now on all music platforms that, you know, just the catalog just sits there. I got a lot of real day one fans that rock with me since I started, but I'm always collecting new fans, and there's a lot of music. There's a lot of content for people to go through if they feel like they don't know who I am or what I do. And it's cataloged, it's there, and you know, it's just waiting for listeners to hear it. You know,
and here's one. I'm glad you said that, because here's one. Like I said, I've been going through your music. You'll recognize it. It's called Big Dream.
I'm just hungry, so I hustle real hard, grinding real hard. I'm just trying to make it too, yeah, like everybody trying to make it through, yeah. And you can get out what you put into the game. The universe reflecting you the same. I'm just another dreamer, doing everything they told me that I couldn't do, and maybe I was doing things that I shouldn't do, and it could all fall apart right in front of you. Yeah, but how would I know? The crowd is so high, how far I could go. The stage and the lights, forever and ever, forever and ever. Through the hate and the lies, the nights alone, the blood and the knives, love will go on forever and ever, forever and ever. Now, yeah, taking trips on the—
Like I say, Stan, if they're not hearing that, they're missing out, because that is the great Sten Joddi. He's from the Mvskoke Creek tribe, and he's currently residing up in the state of Iowa right now. You've got to find him at tattoomusic.com. Sten, what you got going on in the future? You got anything coming up in the future?
I got dates right now on the tour that I'm putting together with me and my family, and we're just hitting the road, and we're going to touch down in different powwows, different cities, different states. Right now I'm available at StenJoddi@gmail.com. If you're looking to book me, I'll come through, even if it's just speaking to the youth and giving them some motivational inspiration. Or if you want me to come and perform Greasy Fry Bread, Res Dreams, any of the songs you heard, you know, that's what I'm out doing. I'm out showing my family that you can live your dream. You can do what you want to do in life, and that, you know, go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. You know what I mean? And so my people are my first situation to go out there and give back, really, you know, and to show that, you know, in whatever avenue of life you want to take, whether it be, you know, you want to stay within our community and help our elders and our youth, if you want to be a community outreach person, or if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or a musician, an actor, I'm out there showing people that it's possible to reach your dreams, no matter if you're a res kid or a city native or a country native or a rock native or a hip hop native. It doesn't matter.
Crazy native.
Yeah, crazy natives. We out here too, you know. You know, a chef, you want to whip it up in the kitchen, you know, I'm supporting everybody. You know what I mean? I'm all about it, even though not everybody supports everybody on it, man. I'm just supportive of everybody that's indigenous out here trying to make the world a better place. You know what I mean? And that's all I'm trying to do, that, man. And yeah, that's really it. I have a video coming out. The 20th of this month. It's called Reflections. And it touches base on a lot of things that I'm going through. It's touching base on a lot of the things that I went through. And I'm kind of just facing myself in the mirror, like I always do every day, that's pretty much the only person I compete with is myself. I'm not out here competing with another person or another entity or I'm not trying to compete with anybody but me to be a better person each and every day, better than I was yesterday, a better father than I was yesterday, a better friend, you know, a better musician, a better tattoo artist. I just continue to try to be the best that I can be. And that's all I can do. And, you know, and that's what I suggest everybody out there as well do. You know, don't live your life on what somebody else is achieving or what somebody else has got. You know, just keep on pushing for what you want out of your life and what happiness you want in your life. And, you know, that's what I'm out to do and show, man. And I'm grateful and thankful. I try to stay as humble as possible. Humility, I welcome it. I welcome constructive criticism, and I welcome that I'm not perfect, and I am human, and I'm gonna make mistakes. And you know, as long as you understand that you can learn from that's what we need to do is learn and grow, and keep pushing forward and to be better people, man.
That's great inspiration, and we're glad you came to our show today. I'm glad we finally got you on, and keep making that great music. And definitely everybody go find him. Look at his website, tattoomusic.com. He's got great music. He's got different things. You want to book him, you can book him from that page. This is Sten Joddi. He was punk and lusty on Reservation Dogs, but he's not only that, he's a great man, a great father, inspiring others. We thank you, Mr. Joddi, for joining us today, and we hope to see you somewhere down the Pow Wow Trail. You have a good one.
Good job.
Good job.